a man, well, frankly, bloody humble to introduce our live studio guests tonight. Will you please stand up and squeal a lot for the Triffids?
There's a chapel deep in a valley for traveling strangers in distress. Oh, it's nestled among the ghosts of the pines under the shadow of a precipice. And when a lonesome climbing figure maybe slips, maybe loses grip, tumbles into a crevice to his icy mountain crypt. Why don't you bury him deep in love? Bury him deep in love. Take him in under your wing. Bury him deep in love. And when the rock below is shaking, the heart inside is quaking. How long this cold dark night is taking? Bury me deep in love. Bury me deep in love. Bury me deep in your love. But take me in, hide me under your skin. Bury me deep in love. And the little congregation gathers praise for guidance from above. They sing here on meditation. Lead us not into temptation. Give us some kind of explanation. Bury us deep in love. On the east face, you may lose me on the west. I may be covered over in the night. Bury me deep in your love, yes. Bury me deep in love. Bury me deep in your love. Take me in, hide me under your wing. Bury me deep in love. Bury me deep in love. Oh, bury me deep in your love. Take me in, hide me under your skin. Bury me deep in love. Bury me deep in love, darling. Bury me deep in your love. Go deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper in love.
The Triffids, ladies and gentlemen. David Graham, come on over. By the way, the Triffids have a new album out called Calendula. Race out and buy it immediately. Well, actually not now, because it's very late at night, but probably tomorrow morning. You should race out and buy it. And there goes a cameraman. Over. We've got one now. That's Murray, our work experience cameraman there. Graham Lees, evil Graham Lees, and David McHale. Nice to meet you. Lee. Oh, what an embarrassing moment. David, please. Sit down. Sit down. If I could just start off with a sort of an informal question, David. I've read that you've been described as a 25-year-old bundle of transcontinental songwriting precocity. Now,
What does that mean?
well, I don't know. Is this a nickname? Do friends just call you this at the pub, or...?
Yeah, they do, actually, and that's why I don't have many friends.
I see. Well, how many people get their tongue around that
Not
after
many.
12 drinks? I wouldn't think many.
That? Oh.
And Graham Lee, not Lees, of course, you're known as Evil Graham
That's
Lee.
right.
You won't take any offence, but you just don't look all that evil to me.
Well, you don't know me.
Okay, so in what way are you evil?
I do nasty things with cows.
Graham, I hardly think that's unusual behaviour. I mean, I was looking for something extraordinary.
Okay, well, let me think. I do nasty things with David McComb.
Well, we'll get into band life a bit later on, but actually, you come from a small country town, don't you?
I do.
Would you like to fill us in on that rural life of yours?
On the rural life, oh, God.
Kenilworth.
Kenilworth, yeah, Kenilworth's
Isn't that
a
a
wonderful
truck?
place. It is, well, no, Kenworth is a track. Kenilworth is a place.
It's a place, yeah.
Yes, and
It's in the far, far north of Queensland.
And it's fascinating, right?
Oh, it's a wonderful place. It has one pub, one cafe, where the milkshakes always taste like onions.
Yeah, right. Garlic shakes.
Yeah. It has a sawmill, has a craft cheese factory.
You don't have any postcards just handy, do you?
Well, as a matter of fact...
No, that's okay. You are evil, aren't you? I can tell. When you, like, moving from a tiny little town like Kenilworth, because it only had about 7 people because of the milkshakes, isn't that right?
6.5.
6.5, and then you moved to a big city. Is it hard to then adapt to that new environment?
No, it was a relief.
A relief. You didn't feel swamped by suddenly having thousands of people?
No way.
Oh, well, it's tremendously well balanced of you. What about when you guys were overseas? Were you well accepted over there?
Yeah, well accepted. I mean, we more or less did what we did here, which is just, you know, you play pubs, except they're called different names there. But, like, London is much the same as Perth, except there's less water sports. And I missed my daily windsurfing, but apart from that, it was okay.
But they have lots of freestyle floods and cyclones, don't they?
Yes, they're great outdoor sporting events.
Yes, where the whole suburbs get whisked away. That's
Yeah.
fine. Did you experience any bizarre cult followings over there?
Yes, we do get people that sleep on our doorsteps, and you arrive at a place where you're playing a club and there's these sleeping bags there before, and we're trying to load in the PA over these sleeping bags. So people follow you around. I haven't noticed too many guns or M16s or knives on
You haven't
them
been
yet.
to Queensland, that's the problem. Yeah, I have that problem too, people sleeping on my doorstep. I mean, if my parents can't find a house, that's their problem, I say. You guys are just experiencing a bit of commercial success. Sorry about the interruption there, guys. We can't actually go on with the interview now because what we're going to do is have Blah Box, you know, that part of the show where we just let people stand up and talk.
Right, I'd just like to say that I've been doing mobile discos now for about 3 years, and I've been recently trying to get a go in the radio industry, and it's been very difficult. Basically, unless you've already had a job in the radio industry, they won't give you a go. And, you know, it's almost impossible. So I think there's a lot of talented young DJs out there who'd like to get a go in the radio industry, but they just can't because people like Doug Mulray and Andrew won't give them a go on the radio.
You don't think it has anything to do with how your eyes look?
Well, no, I've had this problem for quite some time. It's the wine you've been serving there at the bar. It's quite good stuff, actually.
How many radio stations have you tried?
About 10 different ones. Sent demo tapes to them, and so far it's been Don't Call Us, We'll Call You.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hey, come on, give me a break. You see, I mean, the really confident kids, you know, the arrogant, smug little bastards always go on to become accountants and bank managers, and the insecure ones go on to become, you know, creative, fabulously high-paid cocaine snorting people. I mean, it's really the way to go. Not in all cases, of course. I don't wish to malign anybody.
I think when I got into music, it's when I felt at home for the first time in my life. Because before that, I mean, I just felt normal. As soon as I started playing music, I felt like that's where I belonged, and I was comfortable.
I agree with what Joanna says about after a while, if you don't fit in, it's just fun to make your own peer group, and you just invent your own little world, and it's much more agreeable. You don't have to do what people tell you to do. You just invent your own little tribe, and you...
And look at the tribe that you got, Dave.
Oh, are the Triffids a tribe?
A very, very small one, but no, tribe is not the right word. More a gaggle, a flock. I don't know what the
I
word
think it's
is.
just a tottle of Triffids.
A whoop.
A totter.
A whip of
A totter of Triffids.
A totter of Triffids.
I think
yeah,
it's a stumble of Triffids, actually.
Well, Joanna, do you consider yourself an outsider?
Now?
Yes.
Well, yes, I'm an outsider as far as being a performing artist. I don't feel like an outsider as a person anymore. But as a performer and a musician, I'm definitely on the outside. I mean, hardly anyone's ever heard of me, have they?
I've heard of you.
Yes, they have.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, that blows that one then.
Yes, see?
And a really interesting thing you find out when you start talking to other people outside your family, I guess, is that you find that other people have a lot of the same fears and uncertainties that you do that makes you actually feel like not an outsider anymore. It's interesting. So maybe everybody does a bit, you know, if incredibly beautiful people sometimes feel that there's something dreadfully wrong with them.
Yeah.
Can't imagine
yeah.
what, but...
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll get back to this topic later. Obviously, we have to. I mean, it's the topic at hand tonight. Thanks for staying up so late to be with us tonight, and, I hope you can last through. There's plenty of coffee if you want it. In the meantime, more Blarbox. Over to you, Andy Neal. Andy? Andy, mate! Andy!
I just want to take this minute to talk about the lack in Australian education system, and the fact that when most people come out of 12 or 13 years of high school, of public education, you don't know anything about Australian history. You learn token history, which is totally devoid of anything to do with women and totally devoid of anything to do with Aboriginals. You learn about white capitalist history, and you learn it 5 times over. Most people come out of high school not knowing who the first Prime Minister of Australia was, but they know who the first President of the United States was. So there's something definitely lacking, and the Labor campaign at the moment is to get back to basics, and I think one of the first things we should get back to is Australian education, learning about our own country.
Well, there seems to be in schools around Australia a lot of cutting back on history as a subject these days.
Well, I suppose it's not considered important because of Dawkins' new policy. It's all about economics and science, so we can make money.
Well, why is history important?
Because you learn about culture, you learn about who you really are. Yeah. So there.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
very much. Thank you. I don't know. I think things like the First Fleet reenactment, most people know about, Australia. I know, for instance, Captain Coke discovered Australia. We all have something to learn from that. Amanda, over to you.
Okay, over here we have Kate Elizabeth from Nara.
That's right, Amanda.
And you've decided more or less to pick up from where Joanna left off.
Yes, if I may, Amanda. Joanna, no, seriously. I'm an outsider, folks. I come from Nara. That's just about 100 miles south. Wollongong would be the largest landmark, I'd say, on the way down to Nara. Folks, I'm an outsider. But I can cope. Because being an outsider is all about coping, folks. When I was 12, my parents, I wouldn't say sent me to boarding school, but I went to boarding school and I coped. It's all about sharing, riding motorbikes in the country. It happens for country, but they smile. I noticed the one in the green jacket in the Triffids didn't smile enough. He's got a nice enough smile too. I think a lot more smiling should go on, Amanda. In George Street, they don't smile. I was knocked over by a lady this morning in George Street. They smile in Junction Street now. That's all I've got to say, Amanda. Smile, folks. Hey, babes, let's do it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for those remarks. We'll certainly take heed of them. Andy, over to you.
Yes, well, Bill is coping with the late hour, and he's got something to say about television production and how it actually happens here.
Well, yes, I was very disappointed. I raced home from work, had a shower, had a quick feed, and came running in here for the late show. And, well, all you guys ever do is seem to make mistakes and do reruns, and people are falling asleep all the time, and...
It is getting late.
It is getting very late, and, well, you can keep on falling back to sleep again, but I was really quite shocked because when you're at home and you're watching Blarbox people on TV, it's just like everything runs so smoothly, and when you're actually here in the live audience watching it, it really is it's a farce.
It usually does run.
All the dubbing over, and it's just, I was really shocked.
It usually does run a lot faster
That's
than
it.
this.
Get him out of here. You can just sit down. We're not having that. I'm sorry, your blah box is terminated. Right. Farce indeed. We know exactly what we're saying and what we're doing on the show, and we're not going to be humiliated by some person who walks in off the, what do you call those things, street, and says we haven't got our act together. Ladies and gentlemen, settle back yet again for the fabulous Triffids.
Yeah! Yellow photograph in a pocketbook. Well, the name of her mouth was golden. Her eyes were just as a hands. But that's not her. That's just a lie. It's only an image of her. It's just a trick of the lie. She sent me letters, gave me directions, name of the street where I should turn. And then she stood out front, wrapped in her bath towel, yelling, once you leave, oh, you can't return. The rim of her mouth was golden, her eyes were just as a sand. Oh, that's not her. That's just a lie, just a lie. It's nothing but an image of hers, just a trick of the lie. See, I was beating on her like an anvil, with the same old panic caught on her face, a copy of the image of the ancient embrace. You remind me very much of someone that I used to know. We used to take turns and crying all night. Whoa, but that was so long ago now. The rim of her mouth was golden, her eyes were just as it said. No, that's not her. That's not her. That's just the lie. Just the lie. It's only an image of hers, just a trick of the light. No, 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 no. Well, that's not her. That's not her. That's just the lie. Just the lie. It's nothing but an image of her. It's just a trick of the light.
The Triffids, folks. Fab stuff by their new album, Calendar.
In this country to understand what made us quite different from other people in the rest of the world, in England, for instance.
Joanna, do you have any sense of Australian identity? Is it important to you?
Yeah, it is. I think anyone who's grown up here or spent any length of time here has to be affected by just even the land, you know, as well as the people in it.
And yet, in what other country in the world could we be up this late at night and still see, live in the studio, the Triffids?
your lips as we kiss. Higher than the flame, so higher there's one so less on your fire. Now there's one so less on your fire. Lips as we kiss them, baby. Higher than the flame, so high. She's so less fiery lips. Now there's one so less on your fiery lips. 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 Hometown farewell, hometown farewell. This is my hometown farewell kiss. Rip it up. Tear it up. Yeah, tear it up. Her front light on, I came around. Her tree blew over, I shook her branches down. The wind and I, we howled around the door. There's a bottle in the sky, lightning on the shore, and a face reflected in a puddle on the floor. Nobody knows the darkness of Kelly's blues. How they turn it on her, how they let her bad side loose. How sick must she grow in this cold and dirty room? How can I put in between words, Kelly, come on out of the gloom? Banging in the sea breeze. A little tabby cat is crying as it rubs itself up against her mother knees. Her tied by the keys, shatter as my fingers squeeze. Her lines are down, phone is dead, Kelly's car is rusting in my back shed. How can I put it in between words? Come on out of the gloom. How can I put it in between words? Nobody knows. the darkness of Kelly's blues. Nobody knows the darkness of Kelly's blues. Kelly's blues. No, 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 no. Kelly's blues. Kelly's blues. No, 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 no. Kelly's blues. Kelly's blues. No, 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 no. Kelly's blues. Kelly's blues.
It's my pleasure to introduce a man whose own mother has described as a motionless melon. His former girlfriends have described him as a piece of rising dough. But let me tell you something, he's more than that. By Christ, he's my friend, and if you have some patience, he'll be your friend too. Mr. Evil Graham Lee.
Since you found somebody new, I thought I never could forget you, for I thought then I never would. But time has taken all the pain away. Until now, I'm only hurting once a day. Once a day. Once a day, all day long, and once a night, dusk till dawn. The only time I wish that you weren't gone is once a day, every day, all day long. I'm so glad I'm not like a friend I knew one time. He lost the girl he loved, and then he lost his mind. He sat around and breathed his life away. Lucky me, I'm only grieving once a day. Once a day. Once a day. All day long. All day long. And once a night. Dusk till dawn. The only time I wish that you weren't gone is once a day, every day, all day long.
Take.
I'm so glad I'm not like a wino I used to know. He lost the girl he loved, and then he lost his mind. He sat around and drank his life away. Look at me, I'm only drinking once a day. Once a day. Once a day. All day long.